Afternoon, my friends. It is again a pleasure for me to be able to come through and to speak with you today on the eve of the 47th anniversary and for your celebration of the organization that I founded while I walked the earth plane as a fulfillment of the request that Spirit had to create a school to teach people about the gifts of the Spirit and mediumship. In those 47 years, things have advanced far, and mediumship is not really the sole goal anymore, although the gifts of the Spirit are still important. But as I have stated to you before in the last few years, we are coming to a time when everyone will be their own medium. So understanding the process of tuning to the world of spirit, to tuning to the one I am presence, because spirit is part of the one I am presence, just as all souls and all energy throughout the universe. So you're linking to other aspects outside your individual selves to gain knowledge and guidance is crucial and will be very important in the days to come. So although the word mediumship is not as pronounced as it was when I walked the earth plane, the process is as important. And we are excited that you are continuing and studying and expanding and blending and becoming more attuned with and becoming used to being the crystalline energy that you all are, for it is important in the days to come for you to be able to do so. You are coming to the age of knowledge that I had spoken about as I walked the earth plane. You are coming to that golden age where you will get beyond the limitations that were placed upon you by many organizations, religious and social organizations, and that will all crumble and that will all go away. And you will learn to live as gods, as divine energy, as a crystalline one I am energy, and be kind to one another and share with one another. And you're going to be living in a very peaceful and golden age that was foretold centuries and centuries ago. So we are most excited that you are in the preparatory stages for this and that you are participating in learning how to be the more enlightened being that you will be once the new age starts. So with that being said, we wish to encourage you to continue to sit, especially using the recording that you just used, because it opens up so many parts of your being. It allows your soul to gain information. It allows your consciousness to gain information, and it allows all sorts of. It's kind of like a little mini earthquakes happening to shake up your old way of being and to be able to adjust your frequencies as the planet is adjusting their frequencies. So continue with this practice and continue walking the spiritual path. I thank you for all of that. And we are most gratified that you are walking along this path. So be it.
Thank you, Carl and friends, for being here. We love you and we thank you. The first question is from Susan Yu. Can you please tell us about the being known as Saint Germain? Does he manifest in the physical at times for people? Is he an ascended master? Any information about him would be so appreciated. And I want to add to this that my understanding from Saint Germain of the Violet Flame, is that he is not the Catholic saint, but he is a different entity, and that his name should not be abbreviated as ST, but is rather spelled SAINT. Is this correct? And thank you.
We wish you to understand a little bit of the history of your planet. For, as we have said before, the religions on your planet were very powerful in one point in time. In fact, they were even more powerful than governments. And at that point, when the Catholic Church was created, it held a stranglehold over the people. Whatever they said happened. Whatever they said they claimed was true. And as you understand, much of what was created by them was based on untruths, not spiritual truths. But they held the power. And they set up a system where certain people were elevated into what you call saints. Many of those people who were elevated for reasons that were important to the church. And many of the times that was not spiritual reasons, but financial reasons and power reasons and things of that nature. So for centuries of time, people were used to using the word saint for a very important person. And it is implied that it was a holy person. Saint Germain, as you refer to him, was not a Catholic. He was not a Catholic saint, but he led what might be termed a saintly life, meaning he was a spiritual person. He did many spiritual things. He was very gifted in the gifts of the Spirit. Some people at one point in time would have called him a gifted medium. And of course, as you know, the Catholic Church did not look fondly upon mediumship. So Saint Germain brought forth many, many truths to the planet, just as Yahshua ben Joseph, that you know as Jesus, brought many truths to the planet. The truths he brought, and I'm speaking of Jesus, were absorbed by the Catholic faith, but they twisted and turned them and polluted the truths, and bent them to their own needs and gains, and did not keep to the spiritual truths that Jesus had originally taught. Saint Germain's truths did not go through that process because he existed outside of the Catholic Church. His truths were more what you might term underground because they weren't known as well. They were only known to certain people, and they were kept alive by certain people, so that his teachings contain much spiritual truths, just like Jesus' teachings had originally. Many of Jesus' teachings were kept alive by a branch of Christianity that was driven underground called the Gnostics. They were much more aligned to the true teachings of Jesus, but they had to hide their truths because the Catholic Church had called them heretics and would set out and burn and destroy them. So therefore, they could not be very public with what they had to say because it would be very dangerous for their lives. It was similar with Saint Germain, is that his truths were also kept very secretive because, again, the power of the Catholic Church did not allow that kind of teaching to exist because they were very threatened by it. You must understand that the principles of Saint Germain and the principles of the Gnostic Church were true teachings and therefore contradicted the man-made dogmas that the Catholics created. And the Catholics could not abide by that. They could not stand that. And therefore they destroyed anything they could that was threatening to them. In your current time, the stranglehold that the Catholic Church has over people has diminished greatly than it was 200 or 300 years ago when much of this was happening, and even for 500 years ago. But so that no longer they can't stop this any longer. They have attempted to at times, even in the late 20th century, but they have not been successful, nor will they be successful any longer because the tides have turned and there is no way to stop the flow of the truth coming forth at this point in time. As time proceeds from the day I am speaking now, it will be more and more difficult for the falsehoods of the religions to continue to exist. They will continue to dissolve more and more as the frequencies of the planet change, as the vibrations of the earth are ever increasing, and they will no longer be a threat to anyone. And as you are approaching the time when you will fully step into the age of knowledge and be able to be your fully spiritually aware people and be able to practice the gifts of the Spirit and be able to live in the harmony of the one I am consciousness, that it will be dawning on this planet soon. Do you understand?
Yes, I'd like to go back. There were a couple of other questions in Susan's question. Does Saint Germain manifest in the physical at times for people, and is he an ascended master?
As with several other entities from the higher spiritual realms, they do manifest to physical people, but they do not come with a uh, name tag on them saying Saint Germain. They come in what you might call disguise, or they might come so they were not, their true identity is not really recognized, but they do interact with people at times. Certain people who have lived or who are living a spiritual life, who are seeking more guidance and so forth. He will appear to them, but not necessarily appearing so that he could be easily identified as who he truly is. And yes, he is an ascended master. Do you understand?
Thank you. The next question is also from Susan Yu. Dr. Mercola recently fired his top executives due to advice from a channeled entity named Balon. I read that Dr. Mercola allowed himself to be hypnotized, and then he put another person in charge of his company who was connected to the channeled entity Balon. Is he being guided by a pure being of the light, or is Balon a being with coercive motives? Thank you.
The entity that you are speaking about is one who has, excuse me, who had good motives. But unfortunately, as happens from times to times, the person's ego started to blossom and therefore lost his pure intent, and therefore is not of the highest quality that he had been. This happens sometimes to certain people working with the gifts of the spirit or with mediums who become absorbed in their own ego and their own importance and lose fact of their spiritual truths. So unfortunately, this person who is hypnotized is not dealing with who he thought he was. Or I should say, the entity has gone through changes and is not as pure as he had been before. So, no. Do you understand?
Yes, thank you. The next question is from Greg B., and it's addressed to Sid. Since passing over into spirit is inevitable for us all, I'd love to get your opinion on being buried or being cremated. My wife has made it clear to me that her choice is the latter. I'm somewhat conflicted about it. Please share your feelings. Thank you.
Yeah. The question you're answering, excuse me, the question you are asking is a bit perplexing because if you go by certain teachings, it contradicts them. The answer I will give is in alignment with the answer that another ascended master gave, that being buried is much beneficial for a person. When the body is cremated, it is burned, and therefore it changes its physical state. You have been taught that at death, the soul leaves the physical body and goes on to the world of spirit. And that is a true statement. However, the exit of the soul is not, while it is instantaneous, 100% of the soul does not leave the body at once. There are certain soul energies, certain energy that remains within the body that is now deceased, that leaves the body much more slowly than the bulk of the soul as it leaves. And therefore, if the body gets burnt before all that energy gets released, there are certain consequences in the spirit world where that missing energy is felt. While that does not make total sense on a scientific point of view, let's say, there are traditions that are around that exist today that corroborate that. In the Jewish religion, when a person is buried, members of the family are not allowed to go visit the grave for 30 days. Part of the reason for that, the metaphysical reason for that, is because if they went to the body, even though it's buried, they may start to feel that residual energy as it leaves. It takes a while for it to leave. And therefore, burial is more beneficial than cremation. That being said, if there was a way to store the body for a period of a month or 6 weeks and then have it cremated, you're now going to be on a equal basis, and there is no detrimental to detrimental qualities to being cremated if the body can be stored and that energy is allowed to leave naturally. Do you understand?
Thank you. That's helpful. The next question is from a church member. It's not a general question, but personal. But we've included it because she feels she's in dire straits. This is from Linda A. How can I find a job that will pay me the sufficient money I need to sustain myself? My unemployment is running out. Since the pandemic, I've been left without my own place of residence. I do not have family to help me. I feel I am in a dire state. How can I quickly obtain employment providing a service that is very passionate to me? Thank you.
The answer is not an easy one to do. Part of what is happening with the individual that is asking the question is that she is in, as you stated, dire straits. She has this emotional need to create this. In order to attract the job that she is seeking and wants to manifest, she has to release all the emotion. She has to be in a very, very neutral state, a very positive state, and a very state of mind of absolute knowingness that this is going to happen. She cannot have the feeling that she has to have this happen because of her needs, because that will be an anchor to stop the manifestation. She has to get into a mindset where she releases the emotion that she has on this topic so that she can be very neutral, extremely positive, and sit knowing that it's going to happen. And then to see it happening without question, know it's happening, and have seen it already have happened. So it is a state of absolute knowingness, absolute positivity, and absolutely untied to any kind of emotion. It just is. Think about what you are learning about. You are learning about the isness. The isness is not emotional. Emotions are tied into the duality of the physical world, of the polarity of the physical world. In order to manifest, you have to be able to divorce yourself from the emotion of it. And for many people, that is almost an impossible task. Not to say it is impossible, but for a lot of people, they cling to that emotion. It's very hard for them to let that go. But the person who's asking this question, it is imperative that she be in a state where this emotion has disappeared. She's no longer there. She knows that the job is there. She knows that her financial situation is improved. She knows that she will live a fulfilled, successful life without question. It has already happened. And she can be, if she wants to be in any kind of emotion, it is the joy that she's manifested this already. That is the emotion to be in, not in the emotion of lack and need. That will prevent all of this from happening. Do you understand?
Thank you for that message. I think it was important for more people than just Linda. Thank you for that. And that is our last question. So, if you have anything else you'd like to share with us or teach us, we would welcome it. Thank you.
What I would like to say at this point to all of you is that in the days to come, which are approaching rapidly, I need you to remember that you should visualize yourselves living on a boat and visualize yourselves focused on your spiritual truths. And while you are on the boat and riding the waves that are coming, because the times ahead will be turbulent, it would be like being on rough seas. But sailors on rough seas know how to handle this. They know how to rely on their instruments. They know how to ride out the storm until the seas get more tranquil. You have the spiritual tools to ride out the storm. You are learning them constantly. You are using the recording that you use today. And that also is a very important tool to help you ride out the storm. Stay focused on your spiritual truths, on your spiritual goals. Keep your focus on the compass. Keep it turned to the spiritual path. No matter how rough the seas may be, and no matter how long those rough seas last, have the knowingness within you that you are on the right path and that you have the right tools and that you have the ability to reach out to contact us in the spirit world, to ask for guidance, even as you are focused and riding the rough seas. For we will be the wind at your back, and we will make sure that you do help you through the storms, as long as you are open to hearing us and open to our impressions. If you should get a wild thought in your mind to do something, we suggest you do it. Think about it. Where did the thought come from? Did it come from your own mind, or did it come from outside of your own mind? And if you feel it's outside of your own mind, it most likely will be us trying to influence you. As you understand, the gifts of the Spirit come through many pathways and through many channels. There are certain people who can hear our voice. There are many people who can't. There are some people who just have a feeling, clairsentience. There are some people who have a sudden knowingness. The thought is just in their head. So we ask you to become sensitive to what is generated in your own mind and what appears from outside your own mind. And we suggest that if you determine it's something from outside of your own mind that you weren't thinking about, a thought clear out of the clear blue sky that's totally unrelated to anything you were thinking about, pay attention to it. For it is us trying to give you a message. You have the tools to weather the storm. You just need the spiritual fortitude and the knowingness that you can do it. And we are here to tell you that you can. And we will be there to assist you to make sure that you can. So with that message, we will withdraw and we will leave you with our blessings and our love. We wish you for all the best. And remember, we are always open to help you. Just reach out to us. We are only a thought away. My blessings to all of you. So be it.